It's to represent us, our views, our grievances, our problems, everything else.
Always wanting to be in power, always looking at short-term answers for complicated problems that will take generations to fix.
There was too much political control given away to another nation over the country which I was born and raised in.
What's going on with the UK? You see it, you talk about it, you're heavily involved in politics. What's going on?
It's falling to pieces around our ears, I think. I talk about this often, the way I see things politically from where I was to the way I am now. I was conservative. Family's conservative. You always vote conservative. Then you get a little bit older and a little bit wiser and you think, what's going on here? It's like this welfare reform bill they're all talking about at the moment. They're all arguing with each other. They're all trying to score points with each other. They didn't do this when they were on this side of the dispatch box. Who cares? Well, what effect is that having on people with everyday lives, everyday problems? The system doesn't work anymore. And then you look at what's going on abroad with different countries, where we're sticking our nose in there, and there's millions and millions of pounds every year that's being flung abroad at different projects. We shall call them, there's probably other words for them, where people here need that help, they need that support, and they're not getting it, and they go without. It really is a sad state of affairs.
I spent a decade working for Manchester Council. I've met several prime ministers. I've advised in a professional capacity several prime ministers at a low level, not face to face, through their policy units and things like that. I don't want people thinking I was sat next to a prime minister like an Alistair Campbell, nothing like that. But I have met prime ministers. I've spoken to them. I interviewed David Cameron live on radio 15, 20 years ago, whenever that was. So I understand politics. I've been involved in politics. I've stood for political positions as well. Politics is a game. It's a serious game, but it's a game. The aim of a politician isn't to improve your life, isn't to improve the country. The aim of a politician is to be re-elected. And if you want to be politician, your aim is to get elected. And then once you're elected, it's all about, how do I stay in this position? It's well paid, £96,000 a year. It's not millions, but hey, if you paid me £96,000 a year, I'd be extremely happy. So it's a lot of money on the grand scheme of things. But it's this always wanting to be in power, always looking at short-term answers for complicated problems that will take generations to fix. Here's an example I used to come across when I worked at Manchester Council. We'd have serious councillors would come to me. I worked in the field of reducing antisocial behaviour. So they would come to me near an election and they'd say, 6 months out, Nick, I've got a problem in my area. What can you do in 6 months to solve the youth-related antisocial behaviour? And I'd say, in 6 months, nothing. It'll take years and years. And they'd go, oh, is there anything you can do that makes it look like you're tackling antisocial behaviour? And I'd say, I can do that, but I'll waste all my budget and we'll get no outcomes and it'll just be a waste of money. So no, I'm not going to do it. And every time I had that conversation, the next day I got an email off a big boss saying, Nick, use your money to make it look like you're reducing problems in an area. Nobody wanted to fix problems. They wanted it to look like they were fixing problems so they could get elected again. And that's a first-hand account.
That's it. I mean, I think party politics is the big problem, because we go to the ballot box every election and we have to put our mark against the name that we want to represent us. And you think, are they representing us or are they representing the party they need to behave themselves with so they get re-elected? I mean, you talk about being seen to solve problems without actually solving problems. I went to the shop earlier, very simple story, and there's this orange box outside on the pavement. I've seen them all over the place. And I knew what it was. I went and had a look, and it's a bin to deposit your sharp objects in. Obviously, you know what I refer to as sharp objects. under a condition of anonymity, and they're all over the place. And there seems to be this disconnect between the person who had the sharp object in the first place and putting all the blame on the sharp object that's going in the bin. As soon as you do that, they'll go and buy another one somewhere else and carry on as they did before. It's a fool's errand, and it's little things like that where they're being seen to be doing, and it's not achieving anything.
Yeah, I've been involved in some of those knives amnesties a couple of decades ago. I've actually taken knives off kids when I've worked on the streets across Greater Manchester. Again, it's another publicity stunt. The young people who are carrying knives, who are willing to use them, will not be giving them up. The people who put knives in those boxes are middle-class mums who have found some knives in their home and they think, oh, I'll get rid of these. I'll put them in that box. I'm doing my civic duty. Then the police and the council can report, we've taken 150 knives off the streets in your area. Those knives were never a problem. It's the knives that have not gone in the box which are the problem. It's distraction. It's that technique of look at the silver keys, look at the silver keys. Don't look past, just it's a distraction. They want you to look at what they want you to look at, and none of it works. None of it solves problems. I don't think we're capable anymore in this country of solving any serious problems because we gave those powers over to the EU for 40 years, and now we have no politicians who know what to do with the power they've inherited back from the EU. And I think it's going to take several generations of politicians to come through to go, I've got power and I know what I'm going to do with it. Because at the moment, they don't know what to do.
Yeah, I mean, you've had a guest on your channel, which I've had on mine, Graeme Moore of the English Constitution Party. In fact, I had an interview with him this weekend, just gone, and he raises some very valid points. If you strip everything back bare and look right back at what Parliament is supposed to be, what Parliament should be about, the people in Parliament, how they're elected, why they're elected, what for. It's to represent us, our views, our grievances, our problems, everything else. And, things like party whips, according to the English Constitution, are unlawful because you have this situation where you're towing the party line rather than, helping your constituents, as you said earlier, getting elected. I mean, you talk about the EU. I voted for Brexit. And I would do again if the vote was put in front of me again. Very simple reason, right-wing people get accused of racism and, it's about the boats and everything else. What I saw was the fact that there was too much political control given away to another nation over the country which I was born and raised in, and I didn't like that. I want to be governed by people that I elect, not someone in Brussels. That's why I left. That's why I voted leave. And I'd do it again. And I think you're right. They don't know what to do with this power. They don't know what it represents. They don't know at what level sovereignty starts and ends. They don't know any of it. It's just, I think a lot of them, if they were in the business world, they'd be fired. I can't put it any plainer than that.
Our politicians at the moment don't have a vision, don't have a dream.